We continue our reading of God's Dream for You, The Chosen, a morning devotional by author Dwight K. Nelson. Today's reading, October 30, The Divine Auctioneer. Then he said to Jesus, Lord, remember me when you come into your kingdom. And Jesus said to him, Assuredly, I say to you, you will be with me in paradise. Luke 23:42-43. Those who frequent auctions tell me that you'd better be serious when you sit down for that noisy sale. Scratch your head or even raise your little finger, and the eagle-eyed auctioneer may spot your movement and declare the goods sold to you on the spot. Is God that way too? I had a parishioner once, a friendly woman, who would call every now and then to see how we were doing. On Sabbath, she and her family would greet me, but after a while, her calls began coming late at night. And then her words became more garbled. A few Sabbaths later, she came through line with the smell of mouthwash on her breath. The next week, I drove out to their home. She was out in her garden, and we visited for a bit. Then I asked, how long have you been struggling with alcohol? Her gaze dropped, and she nodded her head. We talked of Alcoholics Anonymous and God's power to free her and his merciful forgiveness, and after prayer, I left. The midnight calls tapered off, but I wondered how it was. One Sunday afternoon, her husband called with word she was in the hospital, intensive care unit, alcoholic liver failure. It didn't sound good. The children were flying in. Could I come? I hurried up to her room, weak and tired. She couldn't talk much. The three of us prayed. Not long after, she died. The family requested a private graveside service. One of the children came up to me. We think you ought to know how Mother died. After she had slipped into a coma, there was a moment in the evening when she came to. Seeing the children about her, she whispered, Would you sing me the songs of Jesus? And so, with tears, they did. Mother smiled faintly as she listened. A short time later, she lapsed back into unconsciousness and died. But in her dying request to hear once more the songs of Jesus, the family found great comfort. And so did I, as I drove home from her grave. I could picture him, the divine auctioneer, bent low, breathlessly watching for even the slightest sign that in her 11th hour his daughter wanted his salvation. And when she had raised, as it were, her little finger toward heaven, he cried out with a joy we shall never quite understand, Sold to my child in the hospital bed, just like the thief on the cross. Is it any wonder paradise will be so full? And is it any wonder our mission is so urgent? In this 11th hour, we must reach them for him. This concludes our reading today of God's Dream for You, The Chosen.